Hi, I'm Jackie Russell from Teak Media and Communication. We're here today with Meg George from George Philanthropy Group. Meg, who is a development specialist and works with nonprofits around the country to help them raise money, is going to tell us what are the problems that nonprofits face when they're trying to raise major gifts, what are the actions they can take to overcome those problems, and then what are the results or solutions that she's helping nonprofits achieve. So we'll just launch right into it, Meg, and tell us when you work with nonprofits, what are the problems that they face?
The biggest problem that nonprofits face is the ability to articulate a vision that feels like it's bold and aspirational, but also achievable. And those things need to be funded. When we try to solicit major gifts and fund our priorities, we need to be in a position to have the processes and the plans all set to engage donors around a vision that feels really kind of ambitious and also rooted in reality.
So, how do you work with nonprofits? What are the actions you help nonprofits take in order to overcome that challenge of not having the big vision that is also realistic?
I think that when we put board leadership, internal leadership, and development operation all in the same room together, we have the chance to create a vision and talking points together around shared goals and shared priorities. And when we have those people together on the same page, articulating a vision that's not just doing the same thing again next year, but doing something that's a little bit more aspirational and also, of course, something that is realistic to achieve, we have the chance to then take that vision and empower fundraisers, the development operation, to go through a series of actions, a pretty systematic process in engaging people very intentionally and genuinely around what the priorities are of the organization.
You've talked to me in the past about really the four main tenets in fundraising. What are those?
When we're working in major gifts, everything is rooted in building relationships and doing so very genuinely. So we want to make sure that we're qualifying people as prospective major donors and then cultivating them around the things that they actually care about. So when we get to know prospective donors really well, we realize that they have their own interests and values and priorities themselves. We can take them on this kind of journey through qualification and cultivation that leads ultimately to the third step, solicitation, that feels really smooth and organic because we've engaged them and connected with them around the things that we heard that they cared about. Fundraising is so much more about listening and posing questions than it is about pitching and talking. So making an ask and then finally stewardship, thanking people and reporting on the outcomes of their gift or their investment. And when we follow that plan systematically, like I said, as a process that is just absolutely implemented at an organization, we can match it up with that vision and know that we are in a really strong place to deliver our message and also understand what people care about as a part of that message.
You're a disciplined fundraiser, right? Tell me what you do every morning when you wake up.
So now I'm a consultant and I don't get the chance as often as I would love to ask for big gifts. But when I did, every single morning, I emailed 3 people and asked them for a meeting before I did anything else. The key to raising money is to have meetings with people, and it's to learn about them, not just to talk about yourself or your organization. And the only way to learn about people is to spend 45 minutes one-on-one with them. They're not going to call you and ask you to do that. You have to ask them.
So, what's the solution or results you're helping your clients achieve?
The solution is that when you ask for more money more regularly and you have the opportunity to do so in a very deliberate and a very personalized way, you will absolutely raise more money. Intentional activity is going to lead to monetary results, and nonprofits need to think about themselves like a business, and they need to deliver their message and their solicitations in that way. And so the solution is to ask for more money and bigger gifts around bold and exciting visions that are rooted in reality and priority, and align them with what your donors actually really care about and the outcomes that they want to drive.
That's terrific. Yesterday, I heard from a guy who has raised $2 billion for his organization over the past 20 years. And he said It's just as easy to ask for 3 million as it is to ask for 5 million. So if you think you need 3, ask for 5. If you think you need 10, ask for 20. What do you make of that?
I say that the challenge isn't really around the dollar amount. It's around whether you're asking for the right amount of money for that person's wealth capacity and their affinity to support you. If you are a younger organization that's new to philanthropy and you're going to ask someone for $5,000 for the first time, and that's a stretch for them, then that's just as challenging as asking a billionaire for $5 million. What matters is not setting people's sights too low. If you want to articulate a vision and it's going to cost $50 million to fund this amazing plan that your nonprofit has, then start there and express the full amount that you need. Because if you tell someone you only need five, they might consider $1 million. But if you tell someone you need $50 million, then they might consider 10. So set the vision.
Right. And your point also to the person, there's really two parts. There's what your organization needs overall, and it's also what you're asking of them specifically.
That's
Right?
right. Every ask has that kind of two-part flow of acknowledging what I've learned you care about and educating them that I'm an active listener and reminding them what we need. So I think of fundraisers as these facilitators who stand between the good that people want to do in the world and what an organization actually needs to be successful and serve its constituents, hopefully into perpetuity. We're always in this like art and science of facilitating emotions and money and values and priorities back and forth.
That's great. Yeah. How did you get into this work?
I have a French degree from a small liberal arts college in upstate New York, and I knew I didn't want to be a teacher, and I had no idea what I would do. So my alma mater recruited me to stick around campus after graduation and join the advancement team, and I'm glad I did. I met my husband there, and it kicked off a career of being able to fly places and ask people for money, which is something that I realized I really do love to do. And then we founded our firm together about 10 years ago.
Wow, that's so great. And tell me some of the largest successes that you've helped your clients achieve.
We've worked on campaigns that were incredibly meaningful for organizations that raised $5 million, and we've worked on campaigns that had goals of $1.5 billion. I think that the impact has been so personal to what the organization would consider a success relative to like their own size and what they've been able to do philanthropically in the past. We've helped raise money for kids who are having the chance to go to a private school, and 100% of the student body lives under the poverty line. We've had the chance to raise money for art museums that looked honestly like a basement before the renovations and everything were done. And we've had the chance to impact so many things in healthcare and education and art that it feels really meaningful, our work, and also very similarly impactful to both the nonprofits and the donor families who feel like they're making an investment and getting a return in their community.
Yeah, that's great. That's the beauty of the work that we do, right? Seeing all the value. And when you said, you said up front that sometimes the nonprofits lack the bold and slash realistic vision. How do you do it that you are bold but not too bold, bold but realistic? Is there a secret sauce to that?
I always offer this exact same example, I feel like, which is around a food bank. So if I give $500 to a food bank and someone comes to me and they say, Meg, thank you so much for your support. We fed 1,000 people this year, and like we couldn't have done it without you and the other donors who supported us. I feel good about it. But if you come back to me and you say, Meg, we have a vision to feed another 1,000 people this year, will you give me $5,000 instead of 500? I'm like, I think I'll stick with the 500. Like, I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm so proud of myself for being philanthropic. And this feels like a good match because I did what I could and you were successful, right? But if they came to me and they said, we want to feed 1,300 people this year, would you consider increasing your gift to $2,000? That makes sense to me. They're getting a little bit more exciting. They're getting a little bit more bold, but that sounds maybe reasonable. I hope that's realistic for them. I wouldn't think it's realistic if they said we want to feed 20,000 people this year. We fed 1,000 last year. I think that we have to like take off our fundraising hat sometime and put on just a consumer hat. Like, does this logically make sense? Would this resonate if I was getting this ask or this appeal in email or face to face? And that's how we try to strike the balance of doing a little more or a little better quality or something a little different that aligns with our mission just a little more. Something a little bit, right? Without going so far that we can't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really helpful. What haven't I asked you that you think that your people should know about how to raise money for amazing nonprofits?
I think that people should know that raising money for nonprofits is about putting who before what and resisting our instinct to always feel like we have to sell, we have to pitch, we have to know everything about our organization, and kind of like relaxing into the comfort of building a relationship with another human being. You can represent a nonprofit and you can treat it like a business. You have a sophisticated, very important job. But first and foremost, your job is to build a relationship with someone. And as the relationship grows, philanthropic support will come. You just have to keep yourself disciplined to follow which step comes next and which step comes next and which step comes next to actually make an ask. Don't be afraid to be very specific and proactive in asking for money. That's how you can be successful.
Sounds like patient too. Like you should have patience,
I think you're
right?
right. I think you have to be a little patient too.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with our team. So great to know you.
It's so great to know you, Jackie. Thanks for having me. This is fun.